But first, let's bring in my panel. A whole lot to get through. LNP Senator James McGrath and Pauline Hanson's Chief of Staff James Ashby. Gents, Peter Dutton has ruled out any sort of referendum to recognise Indigenous Australians in the Constitution. Now, this is pretty interesting, James McGrath. I didn't look at this byline in the budget. I'll go back and have a look at it tonight. But I reckon anything that smacks of a voice Mark II, even truth-telling, treaties, a whole box and dice, surely that's got to be dead now. And where's Labor on this?
Well, Peter, you know where Labor is? I put similar questions to Penny Wong at Estimates last week. Senator Wong refused to rule out a treaty. Senator Wong skirted around why money was in the budget for truth-telling and still for the treaty process. This is something Labor, if they win at the election as part of a minority government, it will come in because this is what the Greens want. You're not going to have a treaty or anything like that under the coalition, but under Labor and Greens, mark my words, treaty will be coming into the parliament.
All right, well, respectfully, I know you're listened to internally. I think you've got to bang the drum and make sure that's out there as part of your campaign. Let's go to the PM in WA today, James Ashby. He was alongside the Premier there, very popular Premier, just returned, Roger Cook. I don't reckon we'll see him in WA standing next to anyone other than Cook. I had to say, you know, when I looked at him last week in Budget Week, standing next to the Premier of Queensland, David Crisafulli, that was deliberate too. We learned today from Redbridge polling, Crisafulli's the most popular leader in the country. But I was in Adelaide over the weekend, the seat of Boothby, currently held by Labor, being fought for by my old mate Nicole Flint. She drew this to my attention. In in South Australia, in the seat of Boothby, it's Malinauskas. Everywhere you can see that there's no Anthony Albanese on any of their posters or anything else. Does this surprise you? What does it tell you?
Yeah, look, he's not the most popular of Prime Ministers. He's only hanging in there by a thread to government at this moment. And look, it's not just the leaders, it's the colour red as well. If you have a look at Tanya Plibersek's corflutes, they're purple. If you have a look at Chris, the half-wit Bowen, his corflutes are orange. They're moving away from the typical or traditional Labor colours. So Labor are on the nose in particular seats, not just the leadership, but the colour red. So watch this space over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some real trickery there. You know, Tanya Plibersek might be using purple to sort of confuse the messaging when it comes to the Electoral Commission, as we've seen in previous elections. But for Chris Bowen to go down the One Nation colour of orange says something as well. So, watch that space. Yeah, no one likes the leader of the Labor Party, so I'm not surprised. Pauline Hanson's welcome on all the corflutes of our candidates, so no surprise there, though.
Let's go to a feature we're already seeing in this campaign, James McGrath. We saw on Saturday two Rising Tides activists crash Peter Dutton's campaign events, both of them. The PM too also heckled in a press conference. I mean, I think this is dangerous to democracy. I think it'll radically change how our MPs, our leaders in particular, campaign. It'll make things much more controlled, won't it? It'll make them much more risk adverse.
I agree. And while we should always support freedom of speech, these activists, it's not about freedom of speech for them. It is about suppressing the freedom of speech of the politicians and of normal Australians who want to speak to and listen to the politicians because they actually want to make an informed decision. I am very worried about the personal safety of my fellow colleagues. Look at Peter Dutton, who still, as leader of the opposition, following on from his time as a minister, still has very serious security because of the threats made to his life. And now we've got these people who want to come along. They're ratbags. In my view, they're un-Australian because they're selfish rats, and we should call them out. But we do not want politicians being locked up in some type of cocoon like you see in American presidential elections. It'll be bad for our democracy.
Yeah.
Look, this is why Nicole Flint left the parliament, but she's going to stare them down and have another go, and I hope as a close friend she gets there.